Well, hey, greetings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name is Ken Close here in the U.S. Healy member, and I am joined by the awesome Jake Barron from our head of operations. How you doing, Jake?
Hello, Ken. Good evening, everyone.
Hey there. How you doing? And we have who do we have in the background from tech support?
So we might be on our own tonight, Ken. We had a little bit of a scheduling conflict that came up here. So I think we might be on our own for the first time in a long time, but we'll get through it.
That's okay. I mean, we always love having those extra hands in the background, but we'll definitely get through it. Thank you very much. Well, we'll see whoever's going to be here next week. How about that? So
That's right.
Thanks a bunch for the customer service department. As much as they're here, it's fantastic. So, hey, by the way, guys, if this is your first time to Tech Tip Tuesday, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let me tell you a little bit about how it goes. If you guys have been here before, you already know how it works. But this is a chat-based forum where you guys type in your questions into the chat, and then Jake and I will unpack those and come up with some solutions and expand upon it wherever we can. So what we can't do is we can't really talk about anything to do with the medical advice, such as diagnostics, diseases, disorders, any applicable programs for such. We do have a great asset for that, which is our Heal Advisor app. And we can certainly talk about that all you like. But that's how we do it. So if that sounds good to you guys, let's fire up the chat and see what we can solve for you guys. How about that?
Sounds great.
Yeah. And if you don't have any questions, that's okay. We'll talk about something. Some people might be still getting here. But by the way, too, if you know somebody out there that has a problem or unsure about anything with the Healy, send them the invite link to jump in on this call right here. It's pretty easy to do. Down there, if you just click on the participants, you have a invite tab. You see all the participants there at the very bottom. There's an invite tab. Click on that and you could copy that link and shoot it off to somebody. We always like to have a bunch of people coming in, and we love questions. So let's hear it.
Well, while we're waiting for all the questions to come in here, probably some people typing some really long questions right now. Just wanted to mention on Thursday, well, we have What's Up Wednesday tomorrow as normal. We had skipped a week, but we're back at it tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. But then on Thursday, we're going to be doing a Healy for Beginners and Beyond at 3 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to focus the whole time on the new Healy Demo Experience. So a lot of you have heard about this great addition to the Heal Advisor app. And there's been some trainings which have been excellent as well. So we're going to kind of put together some of the information that's been shared already, but also some of the new. Actually, let me share my screen. I'll show the agenda here while we're talking. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna briefly go over again what is the Healy Demo Experience for anyone that has not heard of it yet, and then how do you activate it. It's a very simple process, and we have a ton of great resources in Healy Academy. We're going to show you how to get to those because there's 4 great videos as far as what is the Healy Demo Experience, how you activate and deactivate that, how you use it as well. We'll just kind of make sure everyone's clear on how to do that. And then we're going to show what this looks like from the prospect side. So if you loan out a Healy device of yours to somebody, they download the Heal Advisor app and then they open it up. What are they going to see? So we're going to show, we're actually going to show the improving sleep quality example, because I know that'll be a very popular one for a lot of people, and kind of just show a lot of the screenshots as far as how it looks, what types of information is shared, what type of programs are recommended, and what type of surveys and things like that are presented as well. And then also at the end, what happens at the end of the 7-day journey. We'll show that too, because it's very easy. I definitely recommend for anyone that has not used it yet, just go ahead and download it and turn one of your Healy devices into a demo device and go through it, so what the prospect sees if you were to loan out to somebody, and just go through it. You can't speed it up, so you kind of have to wait each day for the next day's content to load. So there is a bit of a time takes a week commitment for each topic, but it's the best way to kind of learn how to use it and how it works. It's very simple, but is to actually do it yourself. So we'll go through that. It'll be fun. Probably won't be an hour long, probably a little bit less than that on Thursday, but again, looking forward to having as many people as possible on that. And of course, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel at HealyAmericas.com.
It's going to be a good time. I love it. It's such a great tool. This demo thing is, I mean, this has been something that, has been coming for a while. And I just love this, because how else but to give someone an understanding about Healy. It's such a huge, broad product. And here you go. It's a great way.
So join us Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern, noon for you West Coasters. Okay, so hey, Lacey's got us a question here. Says about traveling with Healy, and I love this because I travel with mine all the time. I know Jake, you do too.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything to note with airport security, metal detectors, etc.? Can I use it on the airplane? I've seen a few practitioners recommending use while you're flying. Absolutely. So I'll tell you how I operate. I take this thing with me everywhere I go. And I also am connected via the wristband. So as you know, when you go through that scanner, whether you have to put your hands in the air, like you just don't care, that thing, or you go through a metal detector, either way, it's probably going to get noticed. All right. What I always do is I'm coming up and putting my stuff on the belt, and I'm putting my bags through their x-ray things. I've got my Healy on. I wear it just like I am right now, on a necklace, just like this. You could have it clipped to your body, doesn't matter, but I always show them, I said, this is a medical device. This is my medical device. And they always go, what is it? That's the first question. What is that? I said, well, it's an energy transmitter into my body. And they said, okay, go through, right? And of course, if the machine detects that there's density, that's what it's doing, by the way. It's detecting specific high concentrations of material. Doesn't matter if it's a wadded up handkerchief or if it's a Healy or electronics. So it's gonna flag you. If you're wearing the wristbands, probably gonna flag you at the wrists, probably gonna flag you wherever the device is, and they're gonna wand you down. They're gonna wave you down, right? So I always give myself extra time going through security.
Yeah, don't wear it if you're in a hurry.
If you're in a hurry, you're in trouble, because they're gonna wave you down with the wand, and then they may even have you wipe the little pads and do all that kind of stuff. Really, honestly, it adds maybe 5 minutes to my time going through security. And then once I'm on the aircraft, remember the device works via Bluetooth. They're going to ask you to put your smart device, your phone, in airplane mode. In airplane mode, Bluetooth still works. Okay, so you can still transmit programs to your Healy. You can still operate it in the same way via the Bluetooth signal. That's not harmful to anything, not to the aircraft or the avionics. And there's no restrictions there. Now, they're going to ask you to put your things away during takeoff and landing. Okay, no big deal. So either have your program set up and running before that, or do it after you get off the ground. Does that make sense? It's pretty easy. Anything you want to add to that, Jake?
No, I mean, you kind of covered that all there. I've not had an issue going through security or anything like that. Adriana just mentioned she was in Germany a couple of weeks ago, and she had mentioned on the way back from Germany, she got questions about her mag Healy that was in her she wasn't using it. It was just in her carry-on, but they did the scan and they pulled it aside, and they had no idea what this device was, and she had kind of had to explain to them and open up the app and see, okay, here's what you're doing. So it really depends, and especially, going in different, outside of the US too. Yeah, Ken mentioned, just be prepared to, maybe have to spend a little bit more time or answer a few questions, but there's nothing illegal about bringing it with you through security and that kind of stuff. So.
Absolutely. So in fact, it's an interesting thing. If you have a lot of extra time, I usually plan a lot of extra time. I've had the security guys or gals ask me questions about it. I'll give them my card. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're people too, right? And so I talk to them about how it's increasing and improving energy within my body, within the cell structure. And they're going, really? They get pretty curious. And if you're willing to talk to them, they're willing to talk to you. So
and I just thought of a great idea with the new Healy Demo Experience. Bring an extra one with you when you go through security. Say, hey, why don't you keep this for a week? When I come back through on the way home, I'll pick it back up.
We'll meet in the classified room in the back.
Yeah.
And we'll get this together. Yeah, no, it's they always have questions, and like I said, hand them your card and see where it goes. You never know where someone could use your help. That's all I always say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, breaking news. We got someone to cover for the call today. So Miguel from our tech support team he's there in the chat now under Healy Tech Support. So thank you so much, Miguel, for heading over here on short notice.
Woohoo, right on. All right. Breaking news. Miguel, welcome.
Yeah.
Everybody, a big welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. So I got a private one here sent directly to me, but it says Gordon's asking, a few months back, you mentioned you were working on a white paper. Curious how that paper's processing. So in terms of what? I'm not sure. Maybe, I have some things in terms of what I work on in terms of my performance, that kind of thing. I have a document on various different types of supplements. One of which is how the digital nutrition can kind of support whatever we're doing nutritionally, whether it's for performance, for improved conditions. Like Jake mentioned, we're going to cover some things around improved sleep. Mm-hmm. There are very specific amino acids and such that can help you with this in the digital nutrition. So there's programs in there for that. All right. What else do we got here? So that's about it, looks like, so far. Kind of a quiet crowd tonight, you guys.
I had a question too that came to me privately, but it's worth discussing with the whole group here. It says, I have the professional, which includes the coach, the courage database. So someone that got this since October of 2022, and they're interested in natural cycle and the personal growth program. I'm not sure if I'm duplicating by adding either. So none of the programs some of them might have similar type of benefits and things like that, but none of them are exact duplicates as far as these modules and databases go. There's a reason that each of them exists. So as far as duplicating, no. Of course, mentioned that the personal growth is 60% off right now, which is, it's a fabulous deal. But she really wants natural cycle, and she needs to know if it'll be on sale. So she asked, do you know if that one ever goes on sale? Yeah, it has gone on sale in the past. We have done, I think, a few times we've had a sale on natural cycle. As far as when that might happen next, I can't reveal that information on this call. But yeah, we certainly, a lot of times we cycle through some of the programs, whether it's Soul Cycle, Natural Cycle, Personal Growth, Database, that kind of thing. As far as usually having like one of those on some sort of special offer at a time.
It would make sense that the natural cycle might come onto a special, maybe close to a solstice, right? A changing of the season.
Yeah.
Because that's when one of the launch dates are for the next cycle is something close to change of season. So guess what? Fall's coming up, right? I don't know. I'm just saying. Or winter.
Fall's
right?
Here. Winter's coming up.
I meant winter. Winter. Yeah. Yeah. So think about that. Who knows? And you know, I want to mention too, as far as the variations, you may see similar names of programs in different program groups. You know, like I mentioned, digital nutrition. In digital nutrition, there is a recovery protocol, a recovery program. There's also one, or I'm sorry, regenerations are in a couple of different pages, right? The bioenergetic vitalization, the fitness page, and they have the same name. However, if you look at the category, let's say from the fitness page, we have a regeneration program there. And then we also have one in bioenergetic vitalization. The fitness page is all about fitness. So that category where you're working out, you're exercising, you're building your body, you're changing some physical aspect of yourself, regeneration might mean repair, recovery, and growth, which is part of the phase of the recovery protocol after a workout. In bioenergetic vitalization, it may be to do with stem cell stimulation or stem cell energizing. Within, say, the digital nutrition, it would be where nutrients within the body are being, I should say, cell receptor sites within the body are being energized for the reception of the energy of nutrients, or increasing the frequency coherence. And there's a condition, I don't know if you guys are familiar, in physics. It's called constructive interference. And constructive interference essentially is where two like frequencies, when they collide, they amplify each other, or when they are mismatched, they nullify each other. So when we're putting frequencies into our body and they match certain nutrients we've already ingested, we're actually amplifying the significance of that nutrient. And so we're also improving cell receptor site energy. So it's the uptake from the cells is higher for those nutrients. So in other words, bioavailability. So we're building a constructive interference when Healy is giving frequencies into the body for whatever the subject matter of that particular program is. Does that make sense? It's ingenious, right? Well, that's why we got Marcus creating for us.
Yeah.
All right. So I see Miguel has put in a link there, guys, in the shop for the natural cycle. Thank you.
So, Ken, this next question here, I think we need to make an FAQ about this one, because it's certainly one of the most asked questions that we get here. So Sydney says, I used to guide a client to start scanning themselves on All Healy Programs. So in the Analyse app, in the resonance analysis, you can pick the data. A lot of people, of course, yeah, we recommend that on this call as well, starting with All Healy Programs. So
why? Right?
But the question was, so she's found that typically other categories end up coming up higher in percentage than what's shown in All Healy. So why is that? So basically, maybe you scan for All Healy Programs and the top program group is, I don't know, like 54%, let's say, and there's one at 48, whatever. But then let's say you go and scan the fitness program group or something like that. And some of the programs come up at, let's say, 70% or 65%. How is that possible?
Yeah, I love this question because it's the relevance of those percentages. Again, if we look at it just as it's just a pecking order, to be honest with you, it's just a pecking order. So in other words, the needs of the client within the whole gamut of all the Healy pages, right? The priority, the top 5 programs that it selects, I should say program pages, it selects the top 5 program pages. And those could have a much lower percentage of need. It's really, I don't like to use the word need. It's just a priority, a pecking order. And so it could be in the 50s and the 40s, right, as far as the percentage. But the significance is which one's on top, which one's first, which one's second, which one's third, and so on. And you just take those over there and you put those in that proper order. I know we're getting hung up on these percentages, right? And And I've done this over and over and over again, and people ask the same question, and we have to kind of let go of the percentage a bit and look at it as just a pecking order, the number one all the way down. Now, there is some relevance to the percentage when it comes to when we drill down to the most needed. In other words, we've selected the top 5 pages out of the, I don't know, how many pages do we got now, Jake? 18 or I don't know how many pages.
And 12 in each, a lot of those. So I think it's 300 plus, something like that. But there's a lot.
We have a lot of programs. So now what that first initial sorting process is just giving us a list of 5 pages in the proper order. Okay, great. Write them down. Then the key thing is the next phase. The next phase is when we scan each one of those individual pages by themselves, and it nets us a new pecking order for the up to 12 programs on that one page. Now you might pay a little more attention to those percentages, because the program that's on the top, of course, is still going to be the first one you do. Still the first one of everything. That's the highest priority, and so on down the list. Now, if somebody's already doing certain work, you're probably going to see some of those numbers lower in percentage. If it's up in the 80s and 90s, that means that particular program on that particular page, they need the most work there. The most work. In other words, the higher the percentage, the higher amount of work one needs in that category. Now, I want you to understand too, each one of those categories, in other words, each one of those programs also has a resource pool of hundreds of frequencies. So we don't know exactly which frequencies are going to be relevant to them until you run the program. Why? Because the program, first phase of the program, is looking for the resonance of that host, that person it's connected to, and selecting, say, the top 5 or 6 or 4 programs from its plethora of resources. And that's where the significance becomes more relevant, because now that's a one frequency right there for that one human, for that one task, right? So that's not going to get a priority system though. And I used to write them down. I was like, oh my God, that's the frequency for me right there. Well, guess what? When you run it next time, it's not going to be the same. Same program, same category. You run it an hour later, and it's not going to be the same frequencies, because your resonant state of being has shifted, right? So, long answer, but still, the percentages aren't exactly, people note them down, because sometimes you want to track that to see, am I lowering in those percentages? Meaning, am I progressing in my health? I just want you guys to understand that every time you do a scan, you are a new version of you. 800,000 cells per second are different. And if it was a week later when you did a scan, do the math. That's a whole lot of cells that are a new version of you. And plus, the moment that we become aware of certain pages that came up on our scan, we start thinking, oh my God, what do I need so badly in that page? Why is it the top priority? We start freaking out a little bit or something like that. And that knowledge puts meaning and assigns energy to that as well. So anyway, point is, it's a pecking order more than anything. And just do them in that sequence, and you're going to be aligned.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, as kind of mentioned, 18 program group pages, 300 programs. When you're looking at that, there might not be one that stands out where it's 70% or more or something like that. But if you just take one program group, within that program group, there might be one program that you really could benefit from the most. But that doesn't mean that program group is the number one overall when looking at everything. It's just when you narrow it down to those 12 programs, yeah, there might be one that stands out, but that doesn't mean that it missed anything as far as when doing the original analysis. So overall, the benefit could be more from running some of those other programs contained in the other program groups. But yeah, it's worth noting for sure, if you wanted to narrow it down.
I like to play with it. I like to write down those percentages when I'm working with somebody. I say, okay, I write them down. And then if we work together, say week after week after week, and something comes up that's similar, you might find it down lower on the priority system. Because why? Well, because we've been doing work all week, right? We've been implementing programs. We've been working mindfully. We've been, maybe we've been doing some meditation. Maybe we've been doing eating better, hydrating better, all those kind of things. And so it's kind of fun. But I don't make it my law in terms of, make sense? Right on. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. All right. Let's see now. Where were we here? Here's one from Lori. I don't think we've seen, in the blue dot, the resonance, the first item that comes up on the scan, highest percentage, this is kind of similar, right? Meaning we need this one the most. However, does this work in the chakras and aura? Someone said it's opposite. So no, every time Healy reveals a finding, including your search within, say, the Heal Advisor search app, the things that come up first are the things that are of most importance. So when you're doing a scan in the aura analysis, the things that are on top are going to be of highest priority. And you're going to see actually a series of numbers right there, right? You're going to see not just percentage or relevancy, but you're also going to see intensity, which is another number in the center. And at the end, you're going to see some letters and perhaps some Roman numerals. So that's the dilution. So you can actually click on that particular set of numbers, and it's going to tell you what all that means. And yet it's still going to be organized in pecking order, in the highest priority. Now, interestingly, that you could have you can set some of those parameters, by the way, if you wanted to show the highest relevancy, the highest intensity, you can set some parameters up within that app. But if you just have it set for the default, it's going to show you the highest percentage of relevancy. But then the second set of numbers between the two bars is a number from 1 to 10. That indicates intensity. So you have relevancy and percentage, intensity and the number, and that could be from 1 to 10, 1 meaning not so much, 10 meaning yes so much. It can be different. It can be different depending on how you have that search organized. So click on that in the app, click on that bar or on that the numbers there, and it's going to expand upon that with definitions for you. Okay.
And I was trying to pull it up here. Let me just
share that spot where you can click and expand on
that.
that.
Just going back to one of our past Healy for Beginners and Beyond, I have a slide here that we created about the Aura module and the new Analyse 2 app. And, I think kind of as we were discussing before, if you're doing an analysis, a resonance analysis, and you see the highest percent there, and then you go to the Aura module and you'll see that the ones that have the lowest percent, that aren't the high, the ones in the middle or possibly the low, those are the ones that you end up running in the Aura module, because you need those programs the most as far as the overall total energy. So I think that's also part of what she was asking there, is that it's kind of picking the ones where you need to be boosted the most in there.
Yeah, in the Aura. So if you see here the list, so in other words, the analysis, what it does first is it takes you as this being in space and time and does an analysis based on your energy centers or chakras, and the root center being the one lowest in the body, the crown chakra being the one highest. And what it's looking for there is it's looking for the energy within each one of those centers. And so you're right, it's going to show whatever energy center has the lowest energy. So it's showing in percentages there. is going to be the highest priority for work, because we need to raise it up to 100%. The ideal energy in each center is 100%. Well, if it's only 50, that low percentage, and we're looking at percentage as being different markers. They're telling us different information. It's, in this case, an aura analysis is giving the amount of energy in a center and assigning a percentage to that on a scale of 0 to 100%. 100% meaning healthy and full, 0% being empty and not so good. So that's the first thing. You get an analysis. Then it takes that analysis and moves it over into the analytical engine to find out what would raise that center's energy the best. And the modality in which you need to work with yourself or whatever's going on, it assigns a new set of priorities. So we're working with the lowest energy center because it needs the most boost, moving it over into a analytical engine that says what would best serve its health or its increasing energy, and here's the highest percentage of that modality or that module, right? And then giving you content of what to work on first in order to raise that up. So yeah, kind of an interesting inverse proportion, but hopefully that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's as you explained, there's a lot that goes into it, but if you just look at it straight up as resonance percentages, the highest ones you run, the OR module, the lowest energy percentages are the ones that you run. So it is kind of the opposite. If you just think at it, on the surface like that.
Yeah. Because if we're just looking at percentage, hey, it's got a little percent sign after it, so it must mean the same thing, but
Yeah.
it actually does not. All right. What else do we got? Let's see here. I got some more down here. Let's see. So Cindy says, I found an inclusion list of vitamins on the World Healy members website. Is that accurate? How do we know the vitamins are in the what vitamins are in the nutrition mix? So yeah, there's more than vitamins. There's amino acids, there's minerals. There actually is a list that was published. I saw it in Europe first because it was in German. And I was like, hey, do we have a translation for this? And so there is a list out there that does show the content of each digital nutrition mixture. And I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not seeing know which one exactly you have, but there is, and for a specific goal. And it's interesting because if you take a look up those nutrients for whatever that goal is, let's say it's digital nutrition, I don't know, immune, or actually immune is not a good one. It's let's just say it's there's one of my favorites is joy. I think it's joy. If you look at what's in there for what nutrients promote neurotransmitter of, say, oxytocin, then you'll see some amino acids that actually contribute to that in that digital nutrition mix. So it's pretty cool how you can see the correlation. But yeah, I don't know what list you have, but there is a good one. And there's, I'll tell you how you can tell if it's probably the most accurate, is because there's probably in most of them, there's at least 10 different nutrients on each mixture. At least 10. Some of them have probably 20 frequencies of that particular mixture. All right. Jake, there's not a list published that we know in the back office, right? I've not seen one.
No, there's not.
No. There's lots of resources out there, resourceful groups and stuff who've obtained that list. So Lindley asked, what does the negative percentage mean in the aura module? So when it comes to the first analysis of the aura, and you got that kind of that bar graph from the root all the way up to the crown, and there's a percentage there, you won't see a negative number there, because the bar graph represents the amount of energy in that energy center. 100% is full and healthy and amazing. 0 means it's nothing. There won't be a negative. But when you move that information over into the analytical engine, and they're doing an analysis within the aura field of why those are low. Let's say the root chakra is the lowest. Well, to raise that energy up, there's a reason that it's low. And so there will be an assigned content of why it's low. There could be one of those readings, those findings, or several of those findings that are in the negative percentage. That's because it's indicated that it's present but not active, or even more subconscious. Okay, the negative ones means it's relevant, but it's kind of inactive in the background. A lot of those are things that have to do with, say, ancestral influence. Some of the things that are genetically linked via past or ancestors or family members. So you'll find that in the negatives. Yeah, and I think let's see. I haven't actually seen any. Is there also something on that, Jake? Does it mention anything about the negatives within that training on the?
Yeah, I remember seeing it somewhere recently, and I'm just trying to find where it is, but
it's in the coaching module, there's content about in the training on the coaching module within the academy. It kind of talks about the percentages and the content there, which is still relevant in its meaning. But I don't know if it mentions the negative. So now you know what the negative means. The negative literally means that it is present, whatever the description of the issue is. It's present, but it's not active. And what does that mean? That means that, there's still conditions within us that are present and subconsciously guiding us, but we're not even aware of them. Well, Healy's pulling up everything. So it could definitely be subconscious content. So look at it from that perspective. Let's see. All right. What else do we got? Let's see. Gordon's asking here, in reference to the blue dot, you run the selected app, and you can select to run the top 5. And we're talking about in the blue dot. It allows you to select the runtime. It has a default of 1 minute, it's like 1 minute, 20 seconds, right? How do you know what time to select? I watched the video and looked at the manual, i.e. page 18, and it shows, if my memory serves correct, developed from 12 frequencies to show various runtimes. But I don't know what to do. Okay. So yes, you can customize how much time you're running a resultant scan from the Blue Dot app. So we're talking about the Resonance app. So you run a scan and it results in, say, the top 5 programs. And now you want to run that in the Blue app via vibration mode. Okay. You click on the vibration mode. This is essentially taking the content and sending it out into free space, but linked to the client. In other words, quantum entangled to the client. So no matter where the client is, this is still going to reach them. Now, how long do you do this? There's some theories about what is it addressing. If it's acute content, in other words, is it the material body, or is it like the emotional body? You can change emotional content in a very short period of time, physical body a bit longer time. But there is a recommendation. There is actually a chart. That's, Jake, is that also in, that's also in our academy, right? That you're muted. You're muted, Jake.
Yes, I was. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, there is a video. It's not is not for the resonance analysis. It's actually listed in the coach section of Academy. But if you go to, I'll share my screen again just to show you. We log into Academy at academy.healy.world. Go to the coach section, the coach module, and then scroll down. There's a video called Transmission Duration at Healy Coach. And this is applies also to doing it as again, you can kind of, once you have more experience with this, you can kind of do what feels best for you. But as a general guideline, this is a great place for someone to start if they're not really sure how long to run these. And you see here, this is at the 2-minute and 58 second mark, but there's a transmission duration and interval. So for conscious, 6 to 8 times per day, 37 seconds each time. And then subconscious, it's only 2 to 3 times per day, but you run it for 2 minutes and 49 seconds each time. And then you'll see here for conscious until success, so until you experience those results, or subconscious, approximately 1 month for that topic.
And as I was mentioning, so remember what I said, the things that are in the negative percentage, those are subconscious. And also I want you to also correlate that with so there's conscious and subconscious, also acute and systemic. So in other words, they all kind of have meaning. So acute meaning the body itself, that's more conscious. So as you saw, it's there's going to be more times per day, small sessions. Subconscious can be influenced quickly, but it's running, I said 2 minutes for the subconscious and 37 seconds for the conscious. So you are the best measuring stick. My point here is you're the best measuring stick. If you run it for 1 minute and 20 seconds, which is the default, then, pay attention. What's your body doing? Those numbers that Healy's giving you reference to, it's the same for the coaching. It's the same for the resonance. It's also pertains to the aura module. So they've done some, there's studies that have been done through Time Waver and finding out what kind of how our bodies adjust to certain times. And that's what they've put on there as kind of a guideline. It's still a guideline. Your body's is your best measuring stick. I'll be honest, I've done it for long periods of time, and sometimes it's a bit tiring. Okay.
But the good thing with running things for a long period of time in the new Analyze app is that you can have that app running in the background. It doesn't need to be on that main screen. So it makes it a little bit easier for some of these longer transmission durations.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's see. So Sydney Googled it, said the Healy nutrition mixes, and got a link there. So if you guys want to take a look at it. All right. So here's one from about an iPad issue. I've updated my Healy devices to the Healy Analyze 2 on my 2 iPads. It seems there's a problem with one iPad, which couldn't pick up the serial number both Healys automatically. I removed the Blue Dot app and reinstalled it a couple of times on the problem iPad, but sadly the problem still persists. Do you have any suggestions how to fix this problem? So step one, we need to know what version of iOS operating system that iPad's working with. All right. Some iPads are a little bit older. It is required to have, I think, 11.0 or higher on the operating system. iPads are a bit different than a cell phone or mobile device there, in terms of how they function with the apps. So step one, find out what version of the operating system, the iPad operating system you're running. That's going to be very important. So if you're not, now step two is going to be how much resources do you have on your iPad? In other words, how much memory is left? If there's a lot of content on there, you know, apps and pictures and things like that, and the memory's low, it could be very glitchy if it works at all. So in other words, I always recommend people have at least 25% of their overall memory available on the iPad or even the smart device, doesn't matter which, in order to allow the app to function properly. Healy is the apps are a resource hungry type of system. In other words, it's doing a lot. So it's looking at being able to utilize a lot of your hardware. So making sure those are first two things I would check on. Anything else you want to add to that one on the iPad, Jake?
No, that's a great place to start.
Okay. So Lori says, I watched a video on how our bodies are attacked daily with EMF radiation. What programs in Healy, if any, can you help our bodies with this? So we can talk about that because they're on the protection page. There's actually some programs designed for this.
Yeah, Ken, while you were pulling this, so this is from the Healy app manual. You can get to this from the information section in the Healy app, or you can get it from your back office too. You can just download that as well. But as Ken mentioned, there's a whole program group with 8 different programs related to this topic, Bioenergetic Defense, and it has a nice little summary at the top here. And then you'll see here, there's for the different programs, general protection, and then it's energetic shielding. There's a program, electrosensitivity, energetic harmonization of the tolerance of so-called electrosmog. And then you can see here as we go down the line here. And this question comes up quite a bit because this is one of the only program group in the Healy app where it shows not using any cables and not using the coil either. It just shows the Healy device clipped to your shirt or something like that. And it's kind of like, well, how does that work? There's no microcurrent, there's no coil going out there, but it says, you see this sentence here, it says, in our experience, no electrodes are required when using these programs. However, you can intensify the effect of the programs by using the electrodes. So yeah, it's a great program to run. Would you say, Ken? We've done some trainings on this in the past. I think on some prior What's Up Wednesdays, quite a while ago now. But they are very powerful programs, especially related to this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll share my screen real quick here,
okay.
And show you guys. Let's see. Am I not the host anymore? Oh wait, I gotta.
Make yours.
Yeah, make phone. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So, what I want to show you is just kind of a difference in terms of as we start a program, you're going to see within the app, it's going to show you exactly how to connect your device, right? So here's the page Jake was just showing, the Bioenergetic Defense. There's the program group and their different names. So if I click on one, let's just say, as you mentioned, the general protection against, or actually electrosensitivity. When you look at that, you'll see that it's showing you with the Healy just in your pocket, you know, clipped to your shirt pocket or to your waistband or your pants pocket or somewhere like that. No electrodes, nothing connected. And we've been taught that, okay, so Healy transmits via the electrodes and we get microcurrent into the body. We have a coil we plug in to convert that signal, that energy, into magnetic energy for transmission. Well, how can it work with nothing? I want you guys to understand that within the Healy device, there's a noise generator. So inside is a frequency transmitter. So all the time, and this is happening even when you are running, say, in the blue dot. This is how we can send energy, frequency energy, anywhere in the universe, really, but to the client, it's actually coming through that frequency generator within the Healy, just like this program is within the pink dot. Now, another interesting fact is that even when you are connected to the electrodes or the coil, but I'm just going to focus on the electrodes right now, connected to the electrodes, and you're putting that microcurrent in your body, simultaneously, that frequency generator is still sending that signal. Okay, so it's going out in that twofer kind of configuration. This program group here is showing you that you don't need the electrodes, and yet the frequencies are still being applied. You can connect the electrodes to your body. I've done this. Interestingly enough, those are pretty powerful frequencies through the microcurrent. You got to turn down the intensity. I did notice that. So anyway, that's the whole point of Healy's showing. I'm showing you right now here, or Healy's showing you that it's able to send frequencies even without the electrodes connected. So let's go back, and if I was to go to a different page, just Gold Cycle, for instance, and hit the Pure program, you'll see that now we're showing that it's designed to be connected via the electrodes. And I want you guys to understand too, those little round circles on the wrists with the wires connected can be superseded by the wristbands. It's the same wherever you see this little symbol here with the circles and the snaps, the wires snapped on there. You can replace this modality with the wristbands. Okay. I don't use the sticky pads on my wrists. I got hairy wrists. They don't stick that great, but I always use the wristbands right here. All right. Okay. So hopefully that helps out, guys. All right. What else have we got here?
We had some good feedback and a compliment for the tech support team, right? So, shout out to the Healy tech team for sticking with 2 of my clients to resolve very strange one-off blue dot issues. So Analyze app issues. The resolution took a while, but after several Zoom calls, both issues were completely resolved and my clients are beyond happy. That's awesome. So yeah, Miguel, pass that information on to the tech support team there tomorrow. I'm very happy to hear that. And yeah, we love to hear those kind of stories, because sometimes these issues are tricky. This is a very complicated device, and sometimes things pop up that are one-off and that there's nothing to go off of. But yeah, we work to do everything we can to resolve anything that does come up.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you for those kudos, and good job, customer support. Yeah, I love it. And yeah, it is such a complicated, if you guys knew all of the ways in which this, the hardware, the software, the quantum field are interfacing in real time, at the speed of light. If you understood what was happening, your mind would probably just explode. I'm just saying. my mind's blown all the time. I look at things from an engineer's perspective, and I also understand neuroscience as well as the epigenetic influence. It's like there is an amazing amount of things happening here. It's just amazing that how Healy has put this all together. And I want you to understand too, it's taken many different sciences to come together, and Marcus in his mind, putting all those in a row, even without the smartphones and app-based programming, we couldn't have had this. So everything had to be within divine timing. So I'm super grateful for that. And so here Lindley's saying that planet program from the defense page is extremely helpful. I agree. So let's talk a little bit soon. We're kind of caught up, I think, here. EMF. EMF, we got about 5 minutes. EMF stands for electromagnetic force, or electromagnetic frequency. Anyway, it's early on, its definition was electromagnetic force. And Nikola Tesla discovered the way to send energy through the air. All right. In other words, we know how to go and plug a lamp into the socket in the wall and get the light to turn on. Well, that's energy moving from the outlet through tangible wire to the light bulb, and it lights up. But how are you getting energy to move through free space, right? And that's actually, Nikola Tesla designed systems to do that. The Tesla coil was the way that it was done. And the way it was done was by taking current flow and running it through a high power up an antenna, and that antenna would propagate magnetic waves. Every time you have electron flow, it has an associated magnetic wave with it. And the magnetic wave oscillates at the exact same frequency as the electron flow. Okay. So you run this high power up an antenna, the antenna propagates a wave in the magnetic field, in the magnetic realm. That's called EMF, electromagnetic force, because it's magnetic energy created through an electro current flow. All right. So EMF is useful, and then there's others that are not useful. What the fear is built around is been around EMFs that are of a certain frequency that do cause harm to the cell's tissues, the tissues, organs, and systems in the body. Those are very millimeter waves is what's called, microwave energy, that kind of thing. What's required is a high energy, a lot of amplitude to those frequencies, okay, or proximity. So folks, having your mobile device up here like this all day, that's close proximity. All right. What's being transmitted out of here is a millimeter wave, or a frequency of low, or very, very short range frequency that can penetrate and influence cell biology. So my advice to everyone is to be moderation. Moderation is not going to cause the damage. It's going to be continuation. So we do have programs within the Healy system to help us with that, to negate that. Remember what I said earlier, that constructive interference, when you have frequencies that are amplified, that are like frequencies, they amplify. But when you have frequencies that are opposite, they nullify. So part of the defense program, that Bioenergetic Defense page, is to nullify, right? And to bring down that energy, bad energy in the body, and to balance it back out. So use it often. Okay. All right. Little class on EMF. There's lots of information out there, folks, and there's a lot of fear tactics. I understand, that the 5G and those different frequencies are a concern. But keep yourself safe by keeping your distances, or moderation, or completely isolation. Yeah, I recommend that you turn your router off at night, right? If you don't need it, turn it off. It needs to be reset periodically anyway. If you're using Wi-Fi, shut it down. Turn your phones off at night. Charge them, turn them off. Okay. Or distance yourself. That's another way of doing it, because they don't have a lot of they can't really hurt you long ways away. All right. We're at the end of our hour, Jake.
Well, perfect. Great close there. Very, very, relevant topic, of course. You've talked about it quite a bit on Tech Tip Tuesday here, but it's always worth sort of reviewing that, because it is everywhere you hear about it. So.
There's a lot of studies, more so now. I mean, cell phones have been around long enough now where there's a time of influence. And to get a study, you need to have subjects, you have to have a time of influence, and you have to have a control group, right? So now there's been enough time. we're starting to see some things that were suspected, and some things are being clarified. So just the cell phone is a very powerful transmitter. Keep your distance from it. It's when I say distance, anything outside of arm's length really is a long distance when it comes to the interference of EMF, unless it is a super high powered transmitter station. Folks, you've seen them out there, those huge antennas, they transmit a lot of energy. So further away from that kind of systems are better. High power transmission wires, all that kind of stuff, they have a longer range. So keeping your distance by hundreds of yards is better than just arm's length. What can we do about that? Well, we can keep our distance. We can keep ourselves hydrated. We can keep ourselves in as healthy as we can through proper nutrition and our protection programs, right? All right, guys, thanks for being here. Jake, thank you very much for your help. Miguel, you rock. Thank you for being back there with us.
Thank you so much, Miguel.
And audience, thank you guys for being here. If this was helpful, please tell a friend and invite them next week. Okay. So until then, if you guys want to save the chat, because there's some valuable stuff down there, click on those 3 little dots next to the smiley face in the chat box or the chat area. Click on save chat. When we're done with our call, a pop-up will come up on your screen if you're on your PC or laptop, and you can save the chat.
Yeah.
All right.
And join us for What's Up Wednesday tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, and Healy for Beginners and Beyond, the sales demo experience overview, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go, guys. See you then. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.